Hi, and welcome to episode 45 of our little inside. My name is, as usual, still Tobi, and this week it's all about doubts that arise in meditation practice. So let's get started right after the intro. I find doubt to be one of the most common and pervasive hindrances that many people experience on the path of meditation. So what is doubt and where does it come from? Well, doubt arises out of a deluded mind state, relatively dull mind, a mind that doesn't know itself, and a mind that is heavily lost in and invested in thoughts. The thing is, we would like to solve life's mysteries like who am I and what's going to happen to me and why did that happen to me and how do I stop thinking, even all these kind of questions. We want to solve them by using thought as a vehicle to solve these problems. But in fact, thoughts are very limited. Our thoughts, they are based on what the inputs that we have received throughout our lifetime. Think of it like this. You can only think the way that you have learned to think. You can only talk the way that you have learned to talk. So our thoughts, the way we think, is not only very conditioned, but it is also incredibly limited. It doesn't really allow us to go beyond itself. So thoughts do not lead beyond thoughts. Your way of thinking might actually point beyond thoughts, but you cannot solve the mystery of what happens when thinking ends by trying to think about it. This is like trying to think about how honey tastes without actually tasting it, without actually taking that step to put the spoon into your mouth and experience honey. You can even write an entire book about honey. You can make your PhD about honey. You become an expert on honey without having it tasted even once. So this is kind of, thinking is a bit like that. It's almost like just an image, or it's dressing up something, but it's not an actual real experience, even if you have these moments of seeming insights that make you feel like, oh wow, yeah, now I understand, I see, I got it, These moments, they are also actually that this is just thinking. It's just thought-based. We want to make something more solid than it actually is. The fact is that the unknown is actually something that really threatens us. Why is that the case? Because in the unknown, in stillness, the ego starves, the ego dies, the sense of self goes out of the window if you stop thinking. If you stop fabricating up a sense of me, living in this life, going here, going there, experiencing this, experiencing that, and then my emotions attack me and my thoughts attack me and I have so much doubts, and how do I overcome doubts? I don't know, maybe I should read a few more books. This sense of me that tries to solve itself, that's in the way of deeper meditation practice. That's why we actually cultivate in the first 3 meditation stages of our practice. First of all, relaxation in the body, but then the 2 most basic mental states. The first one is present moment awareness, feeling a sense of just being here, with anchoring your attention in this moment, with the sounds that arise or the feelings that are in your body, and then finally to go beyond verbalization or thinking in the 3rd stage, which is the silent present moment awareness. Now, if you are experiencing silent present moment awareness, there is no thought to form about what you're experiencing right now. All you are experiencing at that stage is simply the truth of what is. And since you've stopped labeling it, that mind, which is so used to labeling things, very often comes into that stage and it tries to get its questions answered. In other words, it wants to stay alive. And that's what this whole thing is about. The sense of self, that sense of me, wants to desperately stay alive. And one of its most powerful tools to keep you hooked in a world of illusion is thinking. Your past, your future, what's going to happen to you, what did happen to you, why did it happen to you, why does it happen to all the people, why is the world the way it is? And then I can guarantee you there are millions of experts throughout the ages who had millions of different answers, and we're still unhappy. Still the mystery of the mind, the mystery of the self is not solved, because as long as we're thinking about it, we're missing the point by far. So that's why in meditation practice we have to learn to go beyond thoughts, because thoughts cannot solve the problems of thoughts. And this entire world is a world that is made out of thought. The idea that I am a German, that's a thought. There's nothing German about me. There's not one single German atom in my body, and there is not one single German kind of German thing in my mind. All there are is just thoughts. And my emotions are also just emotions. They're not German emotions. Or, this is thought-made world, and it requires passports, it requires weapons, it requires policing, it requires laws. Why? Because of this thought predominance. Continuously unhappy me looking for a happier me in the future. And that this is bound to create problems, obviously. Now, in order to find true happiness, to actually go beyond thinking, we have to practice meditation. We have to practice that actual state of becoming quiet in the present moment. For example, right now as I talk, I can do that little exercise. I can listen to myself talk. Just being aware of those fleshy sounds that my mouth produces as I talk is a bit weird. If I step back and I become the knower of this current process of talking that is going on, sure, it's a surrendering of control. I have to kind of give up controlling about what I will say next. I have to surrender. I have to give up trying to talk in the most perfect way. And all that is threatening this personality construct that I call Tobi, that me, that sense of me that wants to stay alive. The knowing quality of the mind threatens that. It challenges that. So the thoughtless state, that state in which doubts dissolve, because doubts are thought, they are constructs of thought, that is threatening the personality. And doubt is one of the last weapons of the personality to stay alive. It keeps you in a constant questioning state. Yeah, but what if I'm beyond thought 24/7? What will happen to me? Many people ask that question. Then I would tell them, well, let go of thoughts now and find out. Forget 24/7. 24/7 is just another thought. Come beyond thought right now. Come into the realm of actual practice right now. As you're listening to me, do you notice that your mind is completely devoid of thought, of verbalization? There's just an open listening quality. And you see, life still works. Your heart still works. Your breath still works. Your body still works. Your surroundings still work. It's all still there. So the one thing that has gone is doubt as you are listening. Unless you're getting absorbed into your own thoughts again and you think, what did Tobi just say? Why did he say that? Could he have said it differently? I wonder if that's in alignment with the Buddha's teachings, or if that, again, creating a whole world, a thicket of delusion, a thicket of thoughts in which we lose ourselves continuously. What's the point of it? There are two types of relevance when it comes to thinking. One is the relevance that concerns the worldly life. Thinking helps us to construct an airplane, an air conditioner. It helps us to get daily problems solved, It helps you to live your life. There are these kind of thoughts. And then there are these neurotic types of thoughts about, oh, nobody loves me. I wonder if I will ever make it. And I'm feeling so miserable right now because 20 years ago that and this has happened to me, and you recall it. That this neurotic type of thinking, that isn't required to lead a happy and efficient life. And yet this is the majority of our thinking, is almost like a hero in a movie. It's this me that wants to find out what's going to happen to me, and that wants to kind of find a solution to my problems and an end to all my misery. And yet, the end of all that misery would be if those thoughts end, right? As long as you're thinking yourself into misery, the misery doesn't stop. As long as you're thinking yourself into doubts, the doubts don't stop. How could they? Because you keep them alive. You feed them by not recognizing them, by not knowing them. It's almost like they come into the back door of your head and they place themselves right behind your eyeballs and take control of your thoughts and take control of your actions. Who are you? Who should you be? What do other people think about you? What is the universe made of? Is it all consciousness? Is there nothing when I die? What happens when I die? All these kind of thoughts, they run the show, and you don't recognize them because you feel as if you were the thinker and you're invested in that thinking process that creates doubt because you want to. I mean, that's a bit difficult to digest here, but we are so invested in the thinking process because that sense of me wants to stay alive. It wants to stick around. And so that's why it constantly enters the meditation practice again with questions, with stuff, random things, to just keep you. It's just almost like it throws a toy at you, and then you have something to play for a while. And as long as you're staying busy, there is no threat to the sense of self. And that there is, at the same time, no real happiness, no real release from suffering. Because as long as that me stays alive, there is no spaciousness. There is no real relaxation. Because the me is constantly threatened. The me is almost like a little fearful animal, that the ultimate contraction. The ultimate contraction is ego. There's nothing which is more separate from the rest of the universe, right? Otherwise it wouldn't make sense to say me and the universe around me. And I'm going into this ego because, doubt. The video is about doubt. This doubt is the major defense mechanism of that sense of thought made me. Now, one question that I always receive are that, are thoughts bad? Should I get rid of my thoughts then? No, thoughts are not bad. Thoughts are just thoughts. You think that's good enough? Thoughts are just thoughts. So we're not making them bad, we're not making them good, we're not taking them up as our enemy or our friend or our boss. We simply recognize them or see them for what they are. That is what clear seeing does. It helps you to see that, thinking, well, it's just thinking. It's not who I am. It's not true. It's just like a recording that goes on in my mind, and that just blows through my being like a wind right now. That's okay. Thoughts are okay. They're not a threat. If we are really threatened by our own thoughts, that's already a problem. If we are following our own thoughts, believing 100% in them, that's another problem. But seeing them for what they truly are, this leads to the end of all problems, and particularly with thoughts. So this is all that comes to mind. That was a fun episode. I mean, this is such an important topic, to really recognize your own thoughts for what they really are, namely just thoughts, is a very powerful spiritual practice. To see them simply arise and pass, to see that these thoughts are neither me nor mine, they're just something that happens really in your mind, then that leads you beyond doubt. There's no doubt that thoughts are thoughts and that they come and go. There's no doubt that feelings are feelings and they come and go. There's no doubt that what you see is what you see. And what we see comes and goes. So there's no doubt, in other words, about what is. But there's a whole lot of doubt about illusions and abstractions made by thoughts in our own head if we do not see them for what they are. That's the downfall that leads to doubt. Now, I hope this was helpful for you and that you got something out of this. And that in case you have any questions or you wanna just comment on the video, feel free. I'm always happy to read your comments. Always happy to see that you're interested and you're getting something out of these videos. And well, I hope that this episode didn't increase your doubts or your identification with those thoughts in your heads, but help you to free yourself up from them a little bit and come into a more clear space of being. So for now, I wish you a wonderful next week, and I'm looking forward to see you again next Wednesday. And well, goodbye.